Welcome to the channel everyone. Today we'll be going over a 2010 action, horror and ecchi anime titled Highschool of the Dead. Sit back and enjoy. Flashes of several inhuman and disfigured faces glitches across the screen. We're introduced to three high school students, Takashi Komuro, Rei Miyamoto and Hisashi Agu fighting off against a herd of zombies, or we would rather say them. Subsequently, we see the cause of the outbreak as a student bites a staff member at the school gate while Takashi was watching. Immediately an intercom is turned on, warning all students about the violence spreading and telling them to evacuate the premises. The terrified student creates a stampede as they were desperately in need to escape the school. We see Rei, Takashi and Hisashi fighting their way to the rooftop for survivors when Hisashi, Rei's boyfriend and Takashi's best friend, gets bitten. Successful managing to block the entrance to the rooftop. Hisashi dies from the infection and wakes up back as a zombie. Takashi is forced to carry out his friend's last wishes by taking him out vengefully with a baseball bat. Rei blames the death of her boyfriend on Takashi as she loved Hisashi, not him. Takashi gets upset so much he attempts to leave her, but she cries and apologizes as she didn't want him to leave. As time went on, the entire school was over-flooded with the undead. Besieging cries of terror resounded at every corner. Immediately we're pulled to Soya Takagi and Kota Hirano, students from Class 2B and also classmates with Takashi running from those infected. Saiko Busujima, captain of the school's kendo club, saves Shizuka Marikawa, the school nurse, from being infected. The duo decide to head to the staff's office as staff members could have their car key stationed there. Meanwhile, Takashi and Rei contemplate heading back home to assure the safety of their respective families. Again we see Sei and Hirano again, the both of them fight their way across the hall to get to safety. Soya soon postulates that the zombies' senses are dead and they are blind. They only reacted to the sound of the environment. However, Says is pinned to a spot by one of them and she is forced to let out a deafening scream that brought all attention alike to her location while drilling the zombie head in utter terror. After the credit, the 6 remaining survivors plan to take the teacher's car and head out to the city and meet up with remaining survivors on the way, but then the news comes on and the survivors watch in horror of how the city is plagued with zombies. After learning the pandemic had spread worldwide, the group decides to pick up survivors they could during their journey. They successfully fight their way through the horde of zombies and pick up surviving students, one of which Rei displeases the most, Mr. Koichi Shido. After bursting out through the school gate, they head inside the post-apocalyptic city of Japan. Immediately Mr. Shido ordains himself as group leader. Rei becomes defiant about Mr. Shido doing this and runs off the bus. As Takashi goes after her and tries to talk her back, a bus filled with zombies crashes and traps them in a tunnel. Saiko runs off to get them, but Takashi informs her they will meet up with the other survivors later. The tunnel is set ablaze and Rei and Takashi manage to run out before the explosion. After defeating a biker zombie, Takashi and Rei find its motorbike and head towards the dead city, until they encounter a police car. With the police officers dead, Rei searches the car and acquires a revolver and some bullets. Within a few moments through the city, they run out of gas. They stop at a gas station, but it is a self-operated gas station. Takashi said he used his last money to buy soda, so he went inside to break the cash register. Rei gets attacked by a perverted lone survivor who claimed to have family die from the bites of the zombies. He pins a small-sized knife to Rei's neck and gropes her chest. The man ordered Takashi to fuel the pump and leave the bike to him and Rei. Takashi pumps the bike and does so, but throws his baton across away, and the noise from the impact draws the surrounding zombies towards them. Distracting the man, Takashi runs with the revolver up front and shoots him through the shoulder, thereby breaking Rei free and leaving the man incapacitated against the horde of zombies headed his way. Now with their bikes fueled, Takashi and Rei sped through the brightness of the day and openly got photographed by a fighter jet. At the international airport, Rika Minami, one of the top 5 best police officers in the country and her squad members from SAT, helps evacuate the airport runway for civilians by clearing out the undead. As for Rei and Takashi, they managed to escape an ongoing war between a set of insane survivors and the undead despite being shot at. Soon later they find out that the bridges in the city have been blocked by the police and military to prevent potentially infectious civilians from slipping in. Concluding nothing good comes from staying with a deranged Mr. Shido, Soya, Saiko, Shizuka and Hirano plan to get off the bus and prefer to weigh their chances of survival on foot rather than stay with everyone else in the bus. Moreover, Saiko already saw how he touched the other girls on board. However, Mr. Shido hears them and denies only Miss Shizuka's withdrawal because she is a nurse his team needed. Hirano purposely misses Mr. Shido as he threatens he wouldn't miss his second shot, giving the ladies a chance to get off the bus and head to Onbetsu Bridge. Unfortunately, the group is quickly outnumbered by zombies. Takashi and Rei fly to the rescue with some sick motorcycle skills and save the day. Searching for a safe house, Miss Shizuka suggests they stay the night in one of her friend's houses, Rika's, who even had a Humvee parked. With zombies lurking at every corner of the building, the group charge in for the safety of a good sleep. Having the building cleared, it's time to settle down for a nice warm bath, that is for the girls of course, who kept playing around with their chests. Hirano tries to talk Takashi into have a peek, but Takashi replies he's not ready to just die yet. Though the boys had their hands full, they were currently breaking through Rika's household for ammunition. Successfully getting in, the two are astounded with the collection of firearms Shizuka's friend had, even making them ponder what sort of job the lady was into. Meanwhile at the bridge, the police are getting pressured from both the undead and civilians trying to escape, including a group of protesting civilians being led by a conspiracy theorist who believes the cause of the epidemic is a biological weapon of the US and Japan government. As a result of using deadly force to maintain public order at all cost, one of the police shoots the leader of the protesters up front. Takashi has to overcome Shizuka, who sexually teases him and Hirano. Hirano pukes blood immediately and leaves them. Takashi takes Shizuka upstairs and later talks with Rei. They have a little argument, but it ends when the noise of a barking dog starts to attract the zombies. Takashi goes outside to have a look. He uses the binoculars to scout for the chaos across the streets when he sees a man and his daughter running to take shelter in a stranger's home. Nevertheless, the owners of the house cried at the man to leave. Proving resilient, the paranoid stranger opened his door and sent a rod with a knife tied to the end at the man, killing him instantly. The daughter of the man watched as her father brutally murdered, cries uncontrollable and unintentionally drawing zombies to her noise. Takashi sees this and goes out to save the little girl. Hirano assures to assist from above with Rika's ammunition while Psycho and Rei open the gate for him. He manages to drive his bike out to the location of their girl, but the zombies keep flooding the area. He locks the gate and tries to carry the girl through the fence. As for the others, deciding they can no longer stay at the apartment, prepare to load up to move on as well as to save Takashi. We see a lot of funny expressions from Hirano as the women he was surrounded with wore exposing clothes. Taking the Humvee, they smashed their way through all the zombies till they got to Takashi and rescued him and the girl. Once reunited, they decide to head to the other side of the river. Meanwhile, Takashi and his group reach the other side of the river. They change their clothes and after familiarizing themselves with the weapons, they head towards Soya's house first as it was the closest. After a while of driving, they start to run into a load of zombies as they approach their destination, and an unexpected wire barrier causes Rei to slip off the Humvee. Takashi rushes down to get her, but the zombies are everywhere, so he stays to protect her instead. Hirano teaches him how to use the machine gun strapped to Rei's body. Psycho and Soya join to assist them, but the zombies kept coming in numbers. Outnumbered, Takashi and Psycho fights through the army of the undead and tries to lead them away by making noise, but they are still attracted to the others. Fortunately, the others are assisted by a group of firefighters at the other side of the wire fence led by Yuiko Takagi, Soya's mother. As for Takashi and Psycho, they find their way through another route and try to meet up with their crew. They acquire an amphibious vehicle which they use to move around a lot quicker on land across the river. Later, Takashi has a plan to keep the vehicle spinning to attract enough noise to lure the zombies to allow him and Psycho to cross the other side of the street. However, Psycho freezes when she sees zombified children, forcing Takashi to help her out and escape the never-ending undead army. They stay in a shrine for the night. Takashi brings Psycho a real sword and her dried cloth. Then asked why she froze, and she revealed how she was attacked 4 years ago, but instead she almost killed her rapist and enjoyed every moment from inflicting pain on him. She then goes ahead to call herself worse than all of them due to her psychopathic lust for killing. Nonetheless, Takashi holds her hands and comforts her. The scene ends in darkness as Takashi leans towards Psycho's lips. The next morning, zombies surround the shrine and Psycho becomes afraid to fight. Takashi gropes her by the chest and tells her he would always admire her as long as he lived, and she should continue living there by giving her the encouragement to defeat the zombies with even more sicker moves with her new sword. After spending a full day in Takagi's mansion, they all become too relaxed. As Psycho and Takashi are talking, Soya comes down the stairs in anger. Takashi goes up and finds Soya was in a disagreement with her mother. The reason was Soya's parents didn't ought to save her as they thought she was already dead. Later, the gang regroups in a room and Soya brings up a daunting question, which was to decide between either sticking with her family or going off on their own. Though through her speech it was clear she despised standing by her own family for presuming her death. Takashi takes her clothes and talks some sense into her, reminding her at least she was lucky to have seen her parents alive, because the remaining of them are still yet to face the trauma that comes with the knowledge of their loved ones. She immediately calms down, and just then, her father, the current head of the Takagi family, returns with his zombified best friend in a cage and executes him with a sword in front of the crowd, reminding them of how dire the world was and the drastic measures they needed to take to survive. Hirano disagrees with the efficiency of a sword against the other and runs off. Takashi runs after him to make sure he's okay and eventually gets in trouble for trying to steal weapons. Suichiro makes his entrance together with his wife and asks for Hirano's identity, then why he stole the weapon. Hirano cried he needed them to avoid going back to who he formerly was. When Suichiro asked what he could do with them, the remaining of the gang came up to testify to Hirano's irrefutable contribution to the team. Mr. Shido is seen on the bus encouraging the student he had to practice some indecent things as he preached to them. Their bus drives towards Takagi Estate. Meanwhile, after trying to talk to some of the ignorant people who believe the zombies could be cured, Soya and Hirano think Takashi would be the best fit for their leader. The scene switched to a meeting between Suichiro and Saiko. We learn Suichiro learnt his swordsmanship from Saiko's father. As a way of showing gratitude, he offers as a new pair of katana. Takashi is doubting his position in the group when Rei enters and confesses to loving him and making him feel better no matter if he had another girl he admired. Suichiro hears Takashi out as he was going to save his mother and family. After their discussion, Takashi is about to leave when Saiko insists she joins them. However, Mr. Shido shows up at the mansion. Immediately Rei sees him. She runs over him, pricking her bayonet in his face while asking why he failed her grades and made her repeat her classes. Mr. Shido apologized for the wrongs he had been causing, saying his father made him do it. Suichiro comes in and demands if Rei wanted to kill Mr. Shido, let it be quick. As of right now, the world and politics didn't make any sense anymore. Rei struggles with every reason to kill Mr. Shido, but she doesn't, as it would be a waste of time to her. A scene is shown with two US Navy officers who get an order to fire their nuclear missiles from the president. Later, the explosions are seen by astronauts on a space station who state that the end of the world has begun. The end of the world has begun and we are at the end of phase 1, now lives are threatened with military missiles. Everyone witnessed Shizuka's conversion over phone with her friend Rika is cut short when suddenly they experience a bright blow up in the atmosphere. After pondering, Soya informs the rest that the countries now are threatening themselves with EMPs and missiles. Every electronic device failed to work, even some cars. Unexpectedly, zombies begin to break through the cage. Takashi wants to stay and help out, but Suichiro tells him to protect his daughter and leave the rest to them. The group runs to the garage and fights the zombies while Mado is done fixing the Humvee. There's little he can do and the group leaves the mansion. As they drive through the city, Takashi informs the others they would be searching for Rei's and his parents too. The group is later seen standing outside of the shopping mall. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for our next uploads.